So, I was going to postpone this project, but fuel pump for excavators bust, so I will wait for a new one of that. Yeah, I'm started scavenging the old lean tow. I also found a lamp, so we're going to install that, make some sort of table. Yeah, get started with a bit of glassblowing. Oh, nice. Cool. Let's see, how do we want to do this? How can we attach this? So, years ago, I dabbled in some scientific glassblowing, but my setup was always a bit wanting. But after moving into the woods, I swore I would make a dedicated section for lampworking, and now, here we are. I should also give a shout out to Mickle324. I have to confess, a lot of my equipment he has donated, so check out his channel in the description. He's got some cool xenon tubes and stuff. Nice. Yeah, I can live with that. So let's get started with the table. I should say you don't need such a short table, I just prefer sitting crouched. And you never know when you need extra ceiling height. When I eventually find some black felt, I will use that to cover the table with a sheet of glass on top. But for now, some ceramic tiles will do. I have to admit, I'm a bit short on glass these days. Let's see, I do have some, well, this looks like lead. What's this? Obviously boro. So I do have some boro tubes, but I do tend to want to save those. Let's see. I suspect it's Kova. Maybe some other glass to metal steel. Let's see, what do we have here? We have... Oh crap, I don't speak French. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is just some sealing electrodes. I do seem to remember having some Kova. It's usually not the stuff that I buy. I will usually attempt some kind of housekeeper seal, which is glass to copper seal. I also had a trouble finding my stoppers. So far I've found 2 stoppers, and I haven't found any of my rubber hoses, and I do suspect they're all in the same bag. I have noticed a problem stemming from the fact that it's been at least 5 years since the last time I actually did any kind of lamp working or glass blowing. So I don't have any surgical tubing. I do have some water tubing, but it's soft enough. I have some scrap copper here. Some copper tubing, some brake tubing. We're gonna make a swivel out of this. I also have no... I'm supposed to have a bag full of stoppers somewhere, but currently these are the only ones I've found. Hopefully this matches this. Of course it doesn't. But maybe we should consider making some kind of jig or some kind of press or mold that we could just put silicone into and cast our own stoppers. But they're really cheap, so maybe you should just buy them. Now, For the longest time, like before I got the glassblowing torch, I would use one of these with a propane canister beneath, and like this was my most used tool. Just a pair of flat snippet pliers. I also recommend getting one of these. It's just a pair of jeweler's scissors, so you can use them to cut off excess glass. I also used to work quite a bit with fiber, so self-clamping pincers, pretty nice. I found one of my glass cutlers, but it's the shitty one, so hopefully we find another one. But yeah, straighten these out a bit. So these are going to be the T-joint that sits on a spinny bit. To make a nice attachment for soldering the T, I pilot drill and then go through with a bit at the same diameter as the tubing. Just using a tube cutter to get it to length. Then I rebore it, make sure it's straight. This threaded rod will be the spinny bit. To hold it in chuck, I glue it to a splice nut. Then I turn it down till it's just a wee bit smaller than the bore of the T. Then I bore out the center of the spinny bit. The end of the spinny bit was tapped to take a small screw that will hold the T in place. Fuck! So as you can see, there's more and more junk piling up, because I keep finding it. I spent so long looking for these. Like, I started to question whether or not I actually had them, or if it was just something that I dreamt up. But after a good long while, I did find them. So we're gonna make a crossburner torch with these. But right now, we are going to work on a swivel. With the T soldered, we drill open the internals. We also put a spinny bit in place and drill one of the holes in that one as well. The remaining holes are best to do while you can actually see it. Swivel, 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 swivel. So kind of the thing that sparked a bit of re-interest in glassblowing was an offhand comment on Alex Steele video in reply to a comment by Nighthawk in Light. but people seem to be interested in this thing. And since it's 5 years since the last time I did anything of it, one of these gears, bevel gears, are missing. But yeah, as you can see, there's supposed to go some, yeah. So they're meant to take 6mm electrodes, and you just insert them. I wish I made the whole feed-through hole a bit bigger. Oh, I'm also missing a backplate. There used to be a backplate with a gear, and then there was just some kind of backplate and the gear for the stepper, and then this thing turned around. And then on the other side, I just had a stepper motor with a stopper, and then they were going tandem like this. But I don't actually have any of it left. Let's see. So it should work, even though we just have 2 of the bevel gears. You should definitely put some grease in it, because it used to run a lot smoother, but now the gears are sort of all messed up. Good. There we go. So that's just a small rod. That's holding the bevel gear in place. And this thing was supposed to be in the front. If anyone is going to redesign it, it's probably best to make that a solid feed through. Maybe some threaded rod or something like that. I'm going to use this one as well. There we go. And this. All the way out. There we go. So, here's the spiral. And the chuck works by simply rotating in the groove. These are matching teeth. Goes around like that. And the chuck itself, it's just modeled off the standard lathe chuck. But yeah, it was sort of working, but because of how one of these actually work, it's not really practical making one with a really big feed-through hole. And that's why next time around I'm making one with a planetary gear, planetary chuck. Made our swivel, and we've connected a piece of tubing to it, so now we can blow it through it. But I also want to make a cross burner. So here we have a block that just attach it to, and you can get these on eBay for fairly cheap. Yeah, so we're gonna mount these sort of like this, and then we're gonna make some kind of U-tube, and on the end we're gonna put some kind of handle. I do have a few valves, but I do actually want to use these for other stuff. So my thinking is, can we make a needle valve? And I do have an idea. And the key to my idea for how to make a needle valve, an actual needle, you will probably need several, but the plan is we're going to tap this so that it can fit a small section of M4 that can be screwed in. We will also turn this down and tap it, and we are going to center drill this one, and we're going to fit the needle inside of it, so that will protrude like that a bit. And on the aluminium, we're also going to center drill it, but not all the way through. We're going to leave a small sliver on the other side, so that when we actually drive in the needle, it will poke through the section of aluminium where it's thinnest, and hopefully that works. I realized, for the benefit of both you and me, I made a diagram. So that's the needle. It's going to sit inside of the threaded rod. It's going to extend and have a knob. And here's the aluminium. And we're going to drill from one side, and we're just going to poke through it on the other side. Because this needle is fairly hard. So we should be able to just push through the soft aluminium. Here I'm just turning down the head and thread section of our aluminium bolt. Now, it turns out a needle will buckle before piercing the aluminium. So here I have a needle slightly smaller than the one we will use in the valve. By applying some rouge to the tip, we can abrade a recess for our needle. We then tap the threads and start drilling the side opposite the needle recess, where the plan is to just poke the tip of the recess. You can see me repeatedly remove the bolt and then try to blow through it. Then it's time for the needle holder. We face it off and drill it out with the finest bit you dare. We then take our needle and snap it to length. We place the needle in the tailstock and the aluminium bolt in the chuck. Some CA glue was applied to the holder side of the needle, while the tip was centered in the bolt recess. Drill the opening, and the valve can be assembled and tested. And with the magic of some video editing, we now have two. One of them I drilled all the way through it, so these will connect something like this, and then we can make a handle, and then we're going to make some kind of attachment in that sense. Now, just like for the swivel, we are going to make an attachment point by drilling all the way through. Yep, that's good. And then we're just gonna wrap the entire bottom section. Oh, fuck! Alright. Oh, for fuck's sakes! Now, it took a few tries, but we got there in the end. And the way I ended up doing it in the final run, well, let's just go through it. Because I was not getting enough heat. So first I had to switch it up for the glassblowing torch. Because I wasn't getting enough heat to actually wick the solder into the joint. And then when I had done that, I noticed that, oh, it's not getting through because I clogged a hole. So then I took just a piece of wire and I threaded all the way through to the very end. And I should have done that from the start because it really helped up stiffen this pot and sort of keeping it straight. Didn't line up perfectly, but you know what, it's fine. But when I had done that, I noticed that it was a bit, what should I say, it felt weak. So I just took some copper wire and I did a sort of cross hitch around like that, and like that, and then I soldered it. Afterwards, I just ground it sort of smooth. Steady, restless. Alright, so this is going to be the YouTube, but the holes in there is a bit too large, so I'm just going to turn off the end so that it fits. Please ignore the mess. The air compressor ceased, so I have to fix that because I'm not dealing with that until I can have compressed air. Oh, perfect. That's a snug fit. The hole pointing up. So I just took it to the grinding wheel, trying to make short process of this, and I realized this is solder for silver. This time we're gonna use some spruce rosin. Jam that in there. Swirl it around a bit. That's not too bad. I went through my copper trash and found some capillary tubing that snugly fits inside of it. So that's going to make life a whole lot easier. I'll straighten it up. Plan is to make a gas manifold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this doesn't exactly fit inside. Should probably take off the scarf. I do not recommend using a lathe with a scarf. Ground a bit on this side. Now we're just gonna I've given all of these a bit of a grinding on the end, just to remove any oxides. Alright, that doesn't look half bad.
I should probably explain. I have more ports than torches, so I need to plug some of them. Some thread lock was applied first, mostly to protect the threads. The ends was covered with CA and should work temporarily. Then we make a simple standoff for the manifold. I just made an adapter for the hand torch.
There we go.
Does that look on the camera?
Oh, that's good. So now let's see if we can fix my Burette. Now if I was... Oh no, that's not even possible. There's quite a big section missing. So the best thing to do is probably cut this off. Cut this one off at 10 and this one off at 30. And then we join them together. Then I just need to remember that. I have this thing, but I haven't used it in quite some time. So before we can join them, we should give them a wee bit of a clean up. I'm just using some acetone. Ideally you should have given it a bath in I think chromic acid is the standard. I've been using nitric acid. Also, I feel it's important to mention that don't clean it and immediately put it to the torch, because it turns out that acetone is quite flammable. Who knew? Just leave those to dry for a bit and take the acetone well away. Well away. In the next episode, we make a new torch holder. It's not the greatest, but it's glass and it's stuck together and the spacing is almost correct. I could have worked it a bit more in the middle, but it's fine, still practicing. Thanks for watching.